My name is Eva Moses Kaur, and I was only 10 years old when everything I knew collapsed. It was 1944 when Nazi soldiers stormed into my village in Romania. They forced us onto a cattle train, my parents, my older sisters, my twin Miriam, and me. The journey lasted endless days, filled with fear, without food or enough water. The rattling of the wagon, the muffled voices, the stench of dampness and despair. Those details were etched into my memory. Eventually, we arrived at a place none of us had ever heard of before, a name that history would never forget. Auschwitz. The moment we stepped off the train, everything happened in seconds. With a single gesture of the hand, we were separated. My parents and sisters were sent in one direction, and I never saw them again. Only later did I learn the truth. They had been sent directly to a gas chamber. Miriam and I, however, were pulled aside because we were twins. At that moment, we didn't understand it, but that very detail would be what kept us alive. That separation marked the abrupt end of my childhood and the beginning of a nightmare I had no name for. We were taken to a barrack filled with dozens of other twins. Very soon, it became clear that we weren't there by accident. Every day we were measured as though we were puzzle pieces. The length of our arms, the width of our shoulders, the distance between our eyes. They drew blood from one arm while injecting unknown substances into the other. Sometimes they burned us with heated needles. Other times, fever and chills left us too weak to stand. Children disappeared from one day to the next, never to return. This was not medicine. It was something that reduced us to objects for experiments. The man behind much of this was Josef Mengele, feared by all, known by many names. For us, his presence always meant terror and unanswered questions. There were days when everything seemed designed to break me. In that place, death seemed almost easy, an end that arrived quietly, without ceremony. But surviving was something else entirely. It demanded constant effort, every hour, every minute. I had to search for strength when there was none left, feed on tiny hopes, cling to the smallest details, a whispered conversation, a song from home, the warmth of a friend's hand. Staying alive was a relentless task, a full-time job no one outside could truly understand. The nights, however, gave no rest. Whenever I closed my eyes, images attacked me. Oversized rats invading my dreams, needles piercing from every direction, lifeless bodies haunting my memory again and again. There was a rumor that chilled us to the core. People whispered that human remains were sometimes turned into everyday objects. That idea lodged in my mind like a shadow that would not leave. Once, I had a nightmare I still remember vividly. I dreamed that a simple bar of soap spoke to me in the voices of my parents and sisters, asking why I was using them. That dream stayed with me, an invisible wound that hurt as much as any physical scar. At one point, I fell so gravely ill, I thought I would not survive the night. The fever consumed me. My body felt as heavy as the entire world. Mengele himself predicted I would not last more than a few weeks. He said it like a cold verdict, without pity. But Miriam never left my side. She held me with the strength of someone who still had a reason to live. Her voice, repeated over and over, "Don't go, don't leave me," became my anchor. It was then that I made a silent promise, a private decision that sustained me. I would live, for her, for us, even if everything around me screamed otherwise. That determination became my most personal form of resistance. Hunger was constant. The cold pierced through our bones, and each day carried new fears. There were moments when exhaustion felt stronger than hope, and yet Miriam and I always found some reason to continue. We shared crumbs of food, shielded each other from the wind, remembered songs from before. Against all odds, we made it to January 1945. That month, our world changed when the camp was liberated. Freedom did not erase the scars, but it allowed us to face what we had endured. Out of the thousands of twins subjected to those experiments, barely 200 survived. Each of us carried a heavy silence and an obligation to remember. Over time, I came to understand the enormity of what had happened. Mengele was no compassionate doctor, no neutral scientist. He was a man obsessed with twins, turning our lives into his laboratory. After the war, he escaped to South America and lived in hiding, eventually dying in 1979 without ever being captured or judged. His impunity was another wound. Yet even though he escaped at justice, he could never erase our memories. The legacy of those who did not return stayed with us, demanding to be voiced. The years taught me many things, among them that holding on to hatred was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. In time, I made a difficult and personal choice. I chose to forgive. I did not forgive to justify or minimize what had happened. I forgave to free myself, to stop being a prisoner of my own anger. That forgiveness, explained countless times, was my way of reclaiming an inner peace I thought was impossible. Not everyone understood it. Some criticized me. Others struggled to accept it. But for me, it was human necessity, to release the weight and walk forward. With that conviction, I decided to turn pain into active memory. I founded Candles, a place dedicated to education, remembrance, and confronting Holocaust denial. I wanted the voices of survivors to be heard, to ensure future generations had access to the truth of what happened. When the museum was destroyed in an arson attack, I watched the flames and felt part of us was burning too, but we rebuilt it. I had learned that memory is work. It must be protected and rebuilt again and again, so it never disappears. Today, when I share what happened, I do not seek to shock. I want people to understand the humanity behind every number, behind every statistic. I speak of my sister Miriam, of the few who remained, of the silences that still weigh heavy. I speak of the freedom we regained, and of the choices I made later to live without letting the past define me entirely. I survived the hands of the man many called the Angel of Death. In those years, more than 6 million Jews were murdered, victims of hatred and persecution, and of the thousands of twins subjected to experiments in Auschwitz, only about 200 of us survived. We did not defeat the Holocaust. We only managed to escape it. And though the scars remain, both visible and invisible, my voice rises so that no one forgets. I am Eva Moses Kaur, one of the Auschwitz twins, and I survived to tell.